Starting in the F tier are both mine layer paths just like last video. There genuinely are just so many gosh darn better options, dude. They have not withstood the test of time. Moving on to D tier are the Crow Ranger paths, Patrol Boat paths, and the bottom path Shotgunner. Crow Ranger is pretty self-explanatory. Patrol Boat genuinely is only viable in like 3 maps total out of the entire game, so it's mostly a waste. Although it does do pretty good when you can use it. And lastly, bottom path Shotgunner, which I used to have higher due to being able to unstun masting, but now that top path Shield Tower can do that and better, it just barely clings on with its unique air detection, ignoring bullet resistance, and unstun ignoring friendly buffs, which works on helicopters and XWMs, along with having the slight benefit above shield of having a smaller placement footprint. Next up, with C tier, is Cryo Blaster's top path, Cryo Helicopter, both golden mine layer paths, top path Grenadier, bottom path Operator, and top path Shotgunner. Cryo Blaster's top path has niche uses when used in synergy with the help of other cryo paths / towers. Cryo Helicopter is just way too expensive for what it does 99% of the time. Golden mine layer overall suffers from just being an upgrade of the normal mine layer, and the normal mine layer is pretty trash. It completely dominates when doing what it wants to, but that rarely is viable across all the modes. Top path Grenadier I feel doesn't have the best cost efficiency or range. Bottom path Operator does not have stealth like its top path, and top path Shotgunner can be pretty good in certain scenarios until you have John and Slammer who just outclass it in the short range splash damage category. Moving on to B tier with all these stuff that I won't be reading off, John's rage buff can be a nice slight support addition to the defenses, but I definitely feel like it needs a buff because an 8-second buff with an over 40-second cooldown isn't that good overall, especially for its range, but the Deagles are pretty good. Both the Juggernaut paths are pretty good, very cost efficient, just raw DPS. Top path Artillery is some nice standard long range splash damage. Both Armored Factory paths and both Barracks paths go in the good tier, bread and butter spawners that just don't compare at all to the new Nightmare spawners that we'll get to later, but you know, still very good. Bottom path Cryo Blaster has very good cost efficiency for its freezing potential, being able to help a lot on impossible maps and in freezing bosses. Both farm paths go here, standard moneymakers, but Mobster and Golden Mobster just keep becoming more and more viable over time. Bottom path Ghost has some pretty good cost efficiency, feeling like a slight Operator upgrade. The Stealth Bomb honestly takes so much micro though, and so much preparation to use compared to just placing medics or a shield tower. It is very rarely a better defensive plan. Top path Golden Ranger is a pretty standard early to mid game DPS. Bottom path Grenadier has some nice mid-range stunning capabilities. Icebreaker is very niche, but can do some insane freezing stuff under heavy micro and planning. Both Jet Trooper paths go in B tier here as well. First flying unit you're likely to unlock, it's pretty nice. Both Laser Gunner paths go here. Top has some good long range crowd stunning and DPS, while bottom path has some nice utility with the unstealth ability for splash damage and, well, unstealthing. Both Machine Gunner paths go here. Considerable to put them higher, but I don't think they compare to a lot of the A tier towers, so just imagine they're like top B tier, I guess. Both Missile Trooper paths go here. You can tell B tier is mostly for like the intermediate level towers at this point. Top path Mobster goes here, pretty good cost efficiency and ignore resistance capability. Top path Operator goes here, standard mid-game DPS. Top path Railgunner is likely one of the first flying detection options you get, along with being a general decent DPS. Both Sentry paths go here, able to do some good grinding strats for beginners when used right. Bottom path Slammer has some nice extra stunning, and is a stealth alternative to top path Slammer. Both Sniper paths go here, with top path recently being buffed on its stealth to be a lot better, so that goes here. And bottom path has some really cheap map-wide unstealthing, which can honestly be pretty useful along with its high range. Top path Toxinator has some very good crowd damage that has no resistances to really down it. Both Warship paths go here. Honestly like S tier in their own boats, but similar issue to Patrol Boat, there's like 3 maps where it's viable. And finally, Zed, which the very max level, level 5, is honestly A tier, but all the levels beforehand aren't that cost efficient sadly. Okay, that was the longest segment by far, but let's move on to the A tier with the meta towers. Starting off with the top path combat drone, it's very good, but it takes away a lot of your attention from the other towers and it gets heavily price nerfed in events. Bottom path helicopter I honestly wouldn't argue with if you put it in S tier. It is very good and has some very good stealth that got buffed recently along with ignore explosive. Both AA turret paths are meta, definitely S plus tier in their own field, but not everything's flying and not every mode has flying. Artillery bottom path is very good, tons of splash radius, ignore explosive resistance, map wide range, splash transfer. It just costs a little bit of money and micro. Commander and EDJ self-explanatory. Support towers, what else can one say? Flame Trooper deals some pretty good short range splash damage and has some good... Okay wait, it got nerfed from 20% damage amplification to 5% damage amplification. More damage is more damage, I guess. Might be B tier after that though. I didn't know that it got nerfed. Top path Ghost has some nice unstealthing and cost efficiency. Bottom path Golden Juggernaut is just a DPS spam king. Top path Gold Mobster can make you cash while spawning OP units, while having OP DPS, and having ignore resistance. Pretty good all-in-one package, just missing flying detection, and it literally does everything. Bottom path Golden Ranger is pretty cost efficient, but one-ups its top path by having a stun ability. Goo Gunner deals some nice stunning and damage even after its nerfs. Bottom path John sadly got its ignore resistance removed on 2-4, but it's still a pretty good splash damage option along with its axe ability. Both medic paths go here, self-explanatory. Bottom path Mobster goes here, self-explanatory, lots of money. Bottom path Railgunner is here as well, being like the only intermediate level DPS tower to be an A tier, because it's really good for bosses, sometimes even better than Gold Juggernauts. Top path Refractor goes here, pretty powerful, but that price scaling is really darn expensive for what it does, I won't lie. Only Nightmare Tower to be in the A tier by the way. Relic is here, a step up from Armored Factory, Barracks, and Zed, but not exactly Nightmare Tower spawner yet. Top path Slammer has very good stun, early game, and splash damage utility overall. Bottom path Toxicnator is a nice good old damage amplification. And lastly, both XWM paths. Debatable to go in S tier, I wouldn't disagree with you. Finally, these next two tiers shouldn't take as long. Let's go into S tier. Bottom path Combat Drone is a stealth flying unit, so it barely ever dies. You can damage amplify and slow bosses with its spotter as well, along with the pave that stuns for a pretty long time with splash damage, and it has some pretty good across the map splash damage capability as well. It's very good. Top path Helicopter was reworked to exchange its ignore explosive resistance for more overall DPS, so I think it overall gets to stay in the S tier, but it is worse than before I believe. Top path Golden Juggernaut goes in S tier, having ignore resistance, a good amount of range, and a solid amount of DPS makes it a super reliable DPS tower. On top of the fact I forgot it has Pierce. It's really good DPS tower. Bottom path Golden Mobster, yeah, it's really crazy. I probably should have put it in S+, to be honest. It's really good. Bottom path Refractor is a DPS beast, but sort of a glass cannon, and it's also weaker to laser resistance. All in good balance for the amount of DPS it does, to be honest. And lastly, both War Machine paths. Top path can be really good if you're on a map where you can stack them up, but not every map allows that. And bottom path, although not always that good because of the price and spawn time especially, it takes like 4 minutes to spawn, it does dominate whenever it can just keep a boss stun locked. But lastly, the best towers in the game, where I honestly should have added bottom path Golden Lobster, S+ tier. Both shield tower paths go here, extremely good at keeping your defenses alive compared to medic and ghost grenades, very rarely being less useful than those two. Although there are situations where it is worse, it usually is way better. Both behemoth paths on shorter maps use top path, and on way longer maps, like Finale, use bottom path. And this thing will just be a DPS demon with ignore resistance. Both ranger paths, because it one-shots Emperor, Scarecrow, and Troll Tower. Unironically, there is a very strong tech where you can have bottom path shields on a map like this, and just spam baits to create an impenetrable defense. But anyways, here is the full tier list. By the way, I'm gonna try something fun this video. I'm gonna set a timestamp to the wrong tier list where it is just completely wrong to see some reactions from some people who just skipped to the end. So if you watched the full video, thank you for watching. Comment a few cheese emojis. Now let me get to that fake tier list. Anyways, here is the full tier list. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and peace out. Have a good day.